So just now we have seen how to install the JDK software. Now we should learn some of the basic fundamental concepts in the Java. You know, how Java programs executes on given JVM, and we have to understand some of the important terminology like JDK, JRE, JVM, GC, and how the programs are getting executed. And then we'll see some simple and very basic program to understand the syntaxes. So here some more details, you can just take a look of these, how when Java was invented and how it was invented, and the different editions of the Java platform, that is micro edition, standard edition, and enterprise edition. As a quick overview, the micro edition will be used to target it for the smaller consumer electronic devices, where using this micro edition to write a programs which executes on the electronic consumer devices like cell phones, PDAs, washing machines, TV remote controllers, and many more. And we are not going to talk about micro edition in our training. We are going to talk about the standard edition and enterprise edition. Basically, standard edition is like which contain the basic fundamental features which will help you to write any kind of Java application. You need to have the standard edition, and you can also develop a simple plain GUI application which can run on your computer, not on the client server model. When you come to the enterprise edition, it will give you all the capabilities through which you can build a complex and distributed, efficient application, scalable application which you can develop with them. So it can be your client server applications, it can be the distributed applications, it can be a messaging application, and many more which you can develop by using the enterprise edition. So here there is one simple diagram. It looks pretty simple, but it gives you overall what Java software is. It looks very simple, but in a single glance, what is a JDK you can understand from this diagram. So we have been talking about JDK. What exactly JDK is? The acronym of JDK is Java Development Kit. So basically, whatever software you need to develop Java applications, so JDK is the preliminary one. So development kit, whatever you require to develop the Java application, so that comes with the JDK. So to understand what exactly JDK is nothing but a combination of your JRE plus some tools and API. So let's understand piece by piece here. So if you look into these diagrams, the top section was highlighted with the tools. So tools are nothing but you need to have some commands, you need to have some utilities to compile your program, or to run your program, or to troubleshoot your programs, or to monitor the program. Many more tools will be provided part of the Java, and they will be helpful for you either during the development or post development. You might require to use these tools. And apart from that, there is something called JRE. JRE is nothing but a Java runtime environment. Yes. So here JRE is nothing but a Java runtime environment, which is nothing but a JVM plus runtime library. So basically, to write any Java program, you need to have some pre-provided built-in programs which will help you to write your own programs on top of them. The same with that, so JDK also provides you a bunch of built-in provided already developed programs to you. By using that, you can able to write your own programs. For example, to read a file, how do you do that? To write a file, how do you do that? Not only that, JDK does provide a bunch of predefined data structures which will help you to write your programs in the efficient manner. It can be like queue, stack, list, map, hash. So like that, not only that, many other programs has been provided along with the Java software that's called as a runtime library. If you want to run the program, you must require this runtime library, otherwise you cannot run your Java programs. Okay, so this is pretty much called runtime libraries. So whatever programs you'll be getting along with the Java software, and those must be required to run your programs. And other thing is called JVM. What is this? Java Virtual Machine. So JVM, so the name saying it might be a Java virtual machine, but it's not really hardware. It's a software. It's a piece of code which is lies in the Java software. So what it does exactly? So what is the use of the JVM? So we all knows Java is a platform independent program language, right? Java is platform independent programming language. So what does that mean? So you write a program on one operating system and you should be able to execute that same program on any given OS. So for example, I write my program on Windows 8. I should be able to execute on Windows 7, XP, Vista, or Linux, Mac, Solaris. No matter what OS it is, you should be able to run it. That's the beauty of the Java programming language. Yes, anyone can tell me Java is an independent platform independent programming language, but you must know how Java becomes platform independent. Otherwise, there is no difference between you and others, right? Anyone can tell that. It's a simple concept. But the beauty is you need to understand how Java becomes the platform independent. Then you should be distinguished from others, right? So to know that, so we have to learn two important things here. One is JVM and the other one is called bytecode. So JVM is nothing but a Java virtual machine. Let's assume this is a piece of code. This is a piece of program. Okay. So bytecode is nothing but a intermediate representation of your program. And this is not human understandable. And not only that, this is not OS understandable. So means if you have a Java program, take that Java program and compile it, and you will be getting the output as a bytecode. If you have a Java program, compile that Java program, you will be getting output as a bytecode. This bytecode is pretty much, you cannot read it. Even OS cannot understand that. Then the next question comes, who will understand? JVM will understand that bytecode. Okay, only JVM can understand that bytecode. So in the runtime, when you're trying to run the Java program, so this bytecode will be giving as a input to the JVM, and he will execute and finally give you the output on the console. So here JVM is the only one can understand this bytecode. Means if I have the bytecode, no matter whether it's a Windows or Linux or Solaris, if I have the bytecode and if I have the JVM, I can able to execute it. If you compile your Java program on the Windows, you will be getting the same bytecode. If you compile the Java program on Linux, you will be getting the same bytecode. And you need to have your JVM, and JVM will take the bytecode as an input and it will compile that into a understandable, voice understandable format. In case of Windows, JVM will convert the bytecode into a Windows understandable and will execute on top of the Windows OS. And finally, you will be seeing the output. Now, let me ask you a question here. Is JVM is platform dependent or independent? Can you guess what it is? You are right, Shilpi. It's a platform dependent, right? Because it is converting your bytecode into a operating system understandable format. Then it should be understand. JVM should be knows about the OS. So that's why when you're trying to download your Java software here, so they were asking you all these options. Hey guy, you are trying to download the JDK, you must know what operating system you are having. Download the according one. Otherwise, it doesn't work on your machine. If you download the Linux compatible JDK on Mac, that doesn't work. Because the JDK comes with all the predefined tools as well as this JVM, JRE, everything. JRE is kind of common because it's a runtime library, it's a set of programs. But JVM and some other software, some other tools which are specific to each operating system, that's why at the time of installation you need to download the appropriate copy. So and you should be able to install. So this is the reason why they are giving you all these different options for each different operating system. Okay. So you need to understand what exactly happens in the JVM. So before going to look into the JVM program, so let's write one simple Java program and then we will try to see how we can run the program, how we can execute it, and what happens exactly when you're trying to execute the Java program. We'll talk about those things. So if you want to write a simple program, like I want to write one simple program, very basic, hello world. I want to write one simple basic program called hello world, which prints message hello world on the console. This is a very simple program. Let's write it and try to understand that. So for now I will show you how to write this hello world program on the console on the simple notepad. Then we'll take a look of the same program, how we can do it in the Eclipse IDE. So because yes, all the times you will be working on the Eclipse or some kind of IDEs, but you should also know how to write a program without IDE and how you can able to compile, how you can able to run on the console also. Because sometimes when you have issues in the production servers, you don't have the IDE. You have to do everything on the console. You have to do everything on the command line. So that's why you should get familiar with those things also. And to write a simple program here, so for now, so whatever I'm writing, try to remember some of the conventions here. Then I'm going to explain you what each of that going forward. Okay. To write any Java program, so you should write starts with public class keywords. You need to write a public space class and you need to give the name of your program. My name of the program is hello world. Okay. And in the Java, to start any program, the convention is curly braces open and ending of the program is nothing but a curly braces close. And these two are keywords. Public and class are the keywords, are reserved words, and this is my own word which is indicating my program name, and this is the starting and this is the ending of the program. So then what else I should do it here? So before going to do something, so let's assume you are having very big building. But how do you go inside? You need to have the gate, right? No matter how big the building is, without having the main entrance or without having the gate, you cannot really go inside, right? Once you go inside, whatever you want, you can do it. The same thing with the program. No matter how big your program is, how complex your program is, every program needs to have one starting point. Do you agree with that? You should. So the same way, this program needs to have a starting point. The starting point is called as a main method. The syntax is public static void main. So this is the convention you remember. I'm going to explain you each of these why we are writing like this going forward. Okay. So this is the convention. This is called class and this is called main method. And we are going to understand the class and main method terminology going forward very in detail. So once you write the main method, so you have to write a system.out.println statement to print a message on the console. In the Java, if you want to print anything, you should write system.out.println. And this is the place where you can print anything on the console. Whatever you write inside this system.out.println, that will be print on the console. So let me say here hello world, and it will be print exactly same on the console. So save this program into a file. Okay, so let me save into a file. Go to the work, first class. Okay, I created a folder called first class, and go there and store your program hello world .java. Always you need to give the extension for the Java program as a .java. And click on the save button. So now I pretty much wrote the program and saved into a file. And remember, here we followed some of the conventions. Conventions are like, one is the class name following camel case. So means camel case is nothing but, always the first letter should be uppercase, or every word in that, whole word should be starts with an uppercase. That is, it's more like a standard. There's no rule you should always write like that, but it's a standard or recommendation most of the people follows. So that's why it's a good practice to follow. Always the class name should start with an uppercase and it should be camel case convention. And not only that, and the second convention you must be observed, your class name and file name same. So for now, remember, you always give the name of the class and name of the file name should be same. And it's not a convention, third one, but it's a mandatory one. The file extension is .java. So here, do we store the file in the path directory? Meena is asking, do we store the file in the path directory? So Meena, so you don't have to do that, but there is something called class path. I'm going to explain you those things going forward. When I'm trying to execute the program, I'll talk about it. Okay. So now you're done with your program. So let's open the command line. Go to the work folder and my first class, and you can see here I'm having one program called hello world. Okay, so let me compile this program. How can I compile it? It's very simple. Write a javac command, that's not but a Java compiler, and write name of your program, that is hello world .java, and just compile it. And the output of this, you can see there are two files now. One is .java and other one is called .class file. And the .class file, which you cannot read and which you cannot understand even if you try to open in your, go to the work, first class, and let me open this in the folder. This is something you cannot really read it. Okay, and let me run my program here, Java space hello world. And when you're trying to run the program, you don't have to give any extension. The Java is nothing but a Java command is going to launch the JVM, and JVM will read this hello world class which contain the bytecode and will it execute, and it will give you the output on the console. That's where you can see the output hello world here. So what's happening here? So basically JVM executed your bytecode in this case. So during the execution, you need to talk about some of the terminologies called class loader, interpreter or JIT compiler, and not only that, and internally it also have something called GC, that is, it's not your green card, it's a garbage collector. GC is nothing but a garbage collector. So what exactly happens here? You can see this. You have a Java program, you compiled it, you got the output. So when you're trying to run the Java command, it launches the JVM. So internal to the JVM, there are one component called class loader, which will bring this bytecode into the memory. So class loader is the one who loads your bytecode from the file system to the in memory. So the beauty here is when class loader loading the program, it also loads all the required dependent programs. When JVM loading your program, it also requires all the required programs in order to execute this hello world in this case. So you might get a question, what are the required programs here? System is a one program. So you need to load the system program. Not only that, to execute any Java program, there are some classes has to be loaded into, there are some programs has to be loaded into the memory. Class loader, his own responsibility to load everything into the in memory. Then, so that bytecode has to be compiled, has to be converted into a OS understandable format. Who does that conversion? Here, interpreter or JIT compiler is the one who is going to does that conversion. So both interpreter and JIT compiler does the same. Yes. Then why we are having both? Basically, interpreter is nothing but a line by line conversion, whereas JIT compiler is nothing but a block by block conversion. So means so to convert a bunch of lines, JIT compiler does it like one shot, whereas interpreter does line by line. But we need to understand few characteristics here. So in case of interpreter, it takes a lot of time to compile whole program, but it can able to compile a line by line very quickly. And it might produce output may not so efficient. But this will take little time. Very quickly you can able to does this. Whereas JIT compiler, it does block by block conversion, but it produce output is so efficient, but it takes more time to compile. So that's why during the development, you are not really bothering about efficient or not efficient. You want to quickly compile, then you can see the output, and if any issues, you can fix them. But during the production, during the server, you need to have a complex or efficient compiler. So most of the time when you're trying to run your JVM in the development mode, so it will try to leverage the interpreter. How do I know my program is running in the development mode or production mode? And here if you see, this is more like a mixed mode. So you can pretty much use this as a server JDK or normal development JDK. But especially when you're running the production based application, people try to use JDK in the server mode. So in that way, it will try to use the JIT compiler or whatever required things, which will convert the program into efficient manner, and the JVM might be running so efficiently in the server mode. So that's a difference. but both are the primary objective is to compile your bytecode into a OS understandable format, and finally it gets executed on top of the operating system. That's good. So here, what is the GC? GC is nothing but a garbage collector. So let's understand in our real life. So in the home, we'll be having a lot of trash bins, and we'll put the unnecessary part into the trash bins, right? Why? Because you don't have to keep the trash in the home. That might be occupying the space, and you want to free up that. You keep it in the bin and throw away. Something similar to that. We are the human beings. In our real life we can do all of those, but in the program they cannot really think of this, right? So somebody should knows how to free up the using memory. Otherwise, if keep eating your memory, at certain point entire memory is going to be consumed and no more programs are able to run. So before the Java version of programming languages, usually it's programmer responsibility to clean up the memory. That's really headache. If you look into C or any of, I think, who are the native programmers, I'm sure you must be aware of that. If any memory leaks happens, that's very tough to resolve. But in case of Java, you don't really bother about this cleaning of the memory. So part of the Java, there is something called garbage collector who knows how to clean the memory, which is unwanted stuff. There are different JVMs comes with different implementations, how to identify the given piece of code does not require to have this memory. So there is one algorithm I can tell you called mark and sweep. I think mark and sweep, I'm sure. Mark and sweep algorithm, what is that? So basically it will start from one point and it will check is this object got used by any other object, means referenced by any other objects, and it will mark if it is used or not used. Like that, from that it will try to reach all the reachable objects. Any object which is not reachable means it will try to mark that as unused, then it will remove that object from the memory, and that respective space is going to be free and some other object can eat that space. So you really don't bother about this garbage collection, but at least you need to understand what is this, how I can trigger the garbage collection, and what exactly it does. Okay, and remember in the Java, if you make any changes to the so I will go to the bytecode and I will try to make some change here and I will save the file, and when I try to run my program, you can see what it is saying. So remember, in the bytecode, if you make a simple change, that class doesn't work. Even let me remove my changes. You can see this. It's working. What exactly happening here? So basically, when you make any simple change, JVM knows how to verify this given bytecode. That's what exactly does in the when you're trying to run the bytecode. There's something called bytecode verifier which lies in the JVM. It takes care of verifying the given bytecode is a authorized code which I can able to run or not. Not only that, it does many other checks, then only it start execute that program. So that is also one of the component inside the JVM. So all these things are sitting inside the JVM and they will try to run your program. And not only that, if you make any simple change to the Java program, so in the Java you should recompile it. For example, instead of the hello world, I gave 3 dots here. If you make a small change to your program, you have to recompile your program, then only you can see the output. If you don't compile, the output doesn't change. Whatever change you made, that doesn't take effect. So let me recompile it, javac hello world.java. It will recompile it And let me run this hello world now, and you can see this changed output came here. Okay, and remember, Java is case sensitive programming language. One question here, Shilpi is asking one question: bytecode verified, does it job before the JIT compiler? You are right, Shilpi. So bytecode has to be verified first. When it determines it's a authorized bytecode, it's a right bytecode which I can execute, then only the JIT compiler or interpreter are going to be convert that into a machine understandable format. Okay, fine. So Java is a case sensitive programming language here. Means in the Java, if you write hello or hello, these two are different because uppercase and lowercase will be treating as a different. And also Java is white space free language. Means what? Let's understand here. So let me close my bytecode. I don't want to open that. And if you see here, I gave one line, here I gave one line, here I gave some spaces. Means during your program, how many white spaces or how many tab characters you give doesn't matter. Java program does not bother about that. That's called white space free language. Even if I give one more white space here, tabs, number of tabs, still it doesn't care. It doesn't modify your program output. That's called white space free language. And in the Java, every statement will be determined as an end by seeing this semicolon. Semicolon is nothing but the end of the statement. If you reach the end of the statement, means this is one statement. Even if I write one more statement like this, whether I write here or I write in the next line, it will be treated as a new statement, a new hello world. Whether I write here or here, so it doesn't matter, as long as I see the semicolon, it will be treating as the end of the statement. So let me go and compile my program and run the program, and you can see the output. There are two lines came here. So no matter whether you give spaces or not spaces, it will be considered at the end of the line semicolon, that will be considered as a one statement. Okay. So not only that, in the Java, we can also write something called comments. What is that? So let me ask you one simple question. In most of the times, let's take our real life example. When you are going on some new route, you will be looking some help, right? The help in terms of the route map, the help in terms of some of the good places, the help in terms of places to eat, places to visit, places to spend, because you need some information because you are not aware of that. So this is not only that, in our real life, wherever you go, you find some help which given to you to make sure you are comfortable. The same way in the programming world, programs are so complex, it's not so easy, right? Programs are so complex, it changes every day to day. When I write the program, the same program gets changed by hundreds of people after me, right? Every day some new person comes and he works on the same program. He will also change something, I will change something. So at the end, program is going to be a mess. It's going to look like a mess. That's where complexity comes, the program maintenance. Whoever is going to maintain that program, it's going to be complex. He really don't know why they are writing that logic. Right? if I'm doing some 20 33 something, I'm doing some calculations, minus, can you understand what is this? Even I too don't know. Whoever write the program, whoever wrote this expression, they only understand that why they are doing that, right? So that's why whenever you are writing a program, as a good standard, as a good practice, you should provide adequate comments in your program. So comment is a information to understand or describe code, what it does. And remember, it does not change the program output. It does not harm your program. It's only for the information's sake. Whoever look into the program, they can understand it clearly. Okay, and these comments only exist in the source code. Usually during the compilation, compiler will ignore all these comments. Compiler doesn't care about the comment because it's for human purpose to read that and to understand the code. So that's why you need to provide the adequate comments in the code. Whoever comes, they will look into that comments and they will understand the program, what exactly it is doing. In the Java, you can provide 3 different types of comments. One is C language style, and other one is C++ language style, and other one is Java comments. In the C language style, the comments syntax is pretty much looks like this: star ends with star slash. So let me give the comment in my program. So this is called C language style, and this is also called as a multi-line comment. And there is the other type of comments called C++ style. This starts with 2 slashes, and this called as a single line comments. At a time you can comment only one line. So most of the time you can use these comments, as well as there is a special type of comments called Java comments. These are really useful, and using these Java comments you can describe, you can write a help of your program in the program itself. You don't have to write separate documentation for this. You can write the required documentation in the Java code using the Java comment. The syntax is pretty much looks similar to the C language, but here you will be having the 2 asterisks, and whatever comment you can write inside this. And usually the Java comments writes in front of classes, methods, variables. We are going to learn what methods, what variables, what classes, but you can write the Java comments in front of that. So I'm just giving the Java comments here. This is my first program. Hello world. And here in front of methods, I am also giving one more comment. This is a main method to print hello world statement. And I just save the program. So I'm sure you must get a question here. Hey Kishan, if you write a comments like this, if you describe your program like this, who will understand it? Who will come and open your Java programs to read the documentation? That really looks ridiculous. But that's where you will get the beauty. So along with the JDK, they provided a tool called Java tool. So So what this Java.doc tool does is it will read your Java code and it will get all the documentation whatever you provided, and from this it will provide a nice HTML documentation. Let me show you from this file how I can generate the HTML documentation. So there is a tool called Java.doc and you can see the options what exactly it does. It provides a lot of other options, but let me show you one simple Java.doc, and I can provide a directory where my generated files resides. I'm giving the doc folder where all the generated files should go and save, and for which file I want to generate it. I want to generate for the hello world.java. I'm just clicking on the enter button and you can see it is generating some files. So what it is, let's go and look into that. The hello world doc folder got generated, and here you can find a index.html, that is the entry HTML file. You just open that and you can see nice HTML documentation you can find here. This is my first program hello world, and in the method, in front of a method, you can find main method to print a hello world statement. So this documentation is so useful actually. That's why whenever you are writing any programs, especially you are writing a programs others use it, then you must provide these Java.doc comments in your program. And you know, in some of the companies this is the mandatory. If you don't write comments, they will not accept your program. Part of the review. And this is the best way to understand program, what program does. So it's not only you, even you know, Sun and Oracle, they shared the documentation of the JDK through this nice HTML documentation. This usually called as the API documentation, this kind of documentation. So even JDK also having the similar documentation, and here is the link I will share you with. Don't worry, let me do the refresh. Yeah, so even JDK also share the same documentation in the form of HTML. So we will try to understand going forward what it is, and what it is. But for now, let me open the class called system, what we use to print a hello world statement on the console. And you can see here, system is a class mentioned several, you know, some documentation about the class system. And part of it you have out variable which is going to print something on the output stream that's on your console. So like this, it contains a set of methods and each method will have a beautiful documentation. GC is a method to call the garbage collector. If you want to invoke the garbage collector, you can invoke this method. Okay, so guys, I will recommend you all to keep reading this documentation as and when you have the time. So this is the best way to get command on the Java classes which you get part of the JDK software. If you know more classes, you can write the program more comfortably. So here somebody is asking question, what main method does? Pile, basically, you know, main method, just think for now you can think of like it's a main door for your home. To enter into your home, you have to go through the main door. Something similar to that. To start execute your program, so it has to start from the main. But what is that each keyword understanding? We will talk about it probably after a couple of classes. When we are done talking about the methods and variables and some of the keywords, then definitely we'll understand what exactly that whole method constitutes. Okay, Payal? Fine. So guys, please, I mean, for now you may not understand much in the Java API, but I'm sure when we keep covering more and more advanced topics, I'm sure you should be able to understand this Java API. And even in most of the time in the classes, I will refer this API documentation for different classes, different methods. Even if you don't know something, you can go here and you can, you know, explore more and more. Fine. Okay. So in the Java, So one statement is nothing but this is one statement and this is one more statement, and the block of statements are nothing but anything which is inside the curly brace open and curly brace close is called as a block of statement. The block means one or more statement. So when I say block, it can be one statement or it can be many statement, but it should be inside the curly braces open and curly braces close is called as a block. Okay. And to print anything on the console, there are two ways you can print it. One is system.out.println and other one is system.out.print. So what is the difference between the println and print? So let me show you here. So first I am writing both are like a println. So let me run the program, and what is the output? Both are displaying in the two separate lines. And let me remove the ln of the first statement, and let me go and compile my program because I made the changes, and let me run my program. Now you can find the difference. What is this? They came in the one line. So basically the ln is nothing but a new line. After printing this, append the new line. That's called ln. Apart from that, nothing is the difference between the print and println. Okay. And if you look into this program, if you tokenize this program, if you split this program into a small words, then each word is called as an identifier. So this whole program can be divided into a small tokens are called as the identifiers. This is one identifier, this is one, this is one, this is one, this is one, this is one. Each piece is called as an identifier. And there are some reserved identifiers are called as a reserved means, it is reserved for the Java purpose. It reserved for JDK purpose. So reserved will have some specific meaning, specific purpose. So you cannot use them. That's called reserved. So reserved identifiers are called as a keywords. Reserved identifiers are called as the keywords, and these keywords will have a specific purpose, specific meaning. You cannot use them as you want. How JDK dictates, you should use them like that. So what are these keywords in the Java? You can see here, these are some of the keywords I displayed here. Abstract, boolean, break, byte, case, catch, double, else, extend, the bunch of keywords. Each one will have a specific meaning. Definitely we will be covering more or less all of these going forward, and we'll be talking about those. Okay. So let's take some of our real life use cases in our everyday. For example, you woke up in the morning, and whatever you do, you went some shop and trying to purchase some vegetables. You went to grocery and buying vegetables, and how the vegetable prices looks like, it's in terms of like this: 45, 2, 4 numbers, right? You want to know how many rupees for an Indian dollar, 1 Indian dollar. The conversion is something 55, 22 cents or 22 paisa. 55 rupees and 22 paisa equivalent to $1. Or I asked a question, is it a leap year? The answer is either yes or no. So most of the applications will have a gender column, and most of the time the answer will be either male or female, something like this. And when I ask your name, you might be telling your name something like this wrong. So why I'm telling you all these things is these are all are nothing but a different types of data you will see in your real world. So means to survive in your real world, so we create a lot of different types of different varieties of data. And whatever programs we are doing, it's for, it's for us. It's for us. It's not for machines, right? So to simplify our life, we are writing the programs. Then whatever is there in our real life should be able to, you know, represent in the program also. So when you are having a different types of data, how you can differentiate, how you can represent all these set of different information in the program. That's called as a data type. Data type is nothing but a data type. There itself you can see the meaning. It will specify the type of the data. That's called as a data type. In the Java, there are 8 primitive data types are available. Means these are the basic data types. Those are called as a byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. These are the 8 different data types. So let's talk about those. So these first 4 different data types are called byte, short, int, long, are used to represent any number without having the decimal value. Number without having decimal value. So decimal means the number which is having the dot in between, right? So to represent any such kind of numbers, you can use any one of these 4 data types: byte, short, int, long. I'm sure you must be getting a question here. Hey Kishan, why Java provides 4 different data types to represent one kind of data? There is a purpose. The difference is the amount of space it takes to represent the data, because in the computer world everything will be measured in terms of the space, how much space it eats, how much space it consumes. So the byte is going to take 8 bits, short is going to take 16 bits, int is going to take 32 bits, long is going to take 64 bits. And using the byte you can represent maximum number is 127. But in our real life we need many times the bigger numbers, right? 127 is not sufficient. Sometimes we'll also represent lakhs and billions, right? How can I represent? 16 bits using this you can represent 64,000, 545, I think max number you can represent. Using 32 you can represent 2 power 32 minus 1. Using 64 you can represent 2 power 63 minus 1. The difference is how big number you want to represent, then you can choose the according data type. In that way you can use the memory space efficiently. As a simple example, to represent your age, usually how big your age value is, it's not more than 100, right? You don't require long to represent that age. Unnecessarily you might be wasting the space, right? So that's where he provided the choice, depends on the purpose, depends on your usage, choose accordingly the appropriate data types, and that will eat memory space efficiently. Okay. And the next 2 data types, float and double, is used to represent a number with a decimal value. If you represent any number with a decimal value, you can use either float or double. Either float or double used to represent the decimal value numbers. Example: 55 rupees 22 paisa is equivalent to $1. So that's it. Either float or double, it can be both, right? So again, what is the difference? The same thing, in terms of the length, the size of the data type. Float consumes 32 bits, double consumes 64 bits. And this will tell you how big number you can represent using the float and double. Double is bigger than float. And again, depends on your uses. You can pick the appropriate data type. And the other thing called char is nothing but using the char you can represent any ISO defined character. It can be a special character, it can be alphabet, it can be 0 to 9 digits, it can be anything. It can be represented by using the char. Example, A is a character, dollar is a character, even our rupee symbol is also one character. In the computer world, anything which you can able to represent using the ISO character system, so that can be called as a one char. Right? To represent the rupee symbol also, I'm sure ISO allocated some code for that. Using that only in the computer we can represent the different characters, right? Right. So anything which can be whether it's special character, alphabet, numbers, anything can be considered as a one character. Then I'm sure you must get a question, hey Kishan, how much space it consumes? In the Java, every character takes 16 bits. I'm sorry. In the Java, every character takes 16 bits. And every character in the Java represented inside a apostrophe symbol like this. So this is nothing but one char. And group of characters to represent name, for example, Kishan or Ram, or city name called New York. To represent a group of characters is called as a string. String is nothing but a group of characters. Purnima, could you please keep you on the mute? String is nothing but a group of characters. But remember, string is not a primitive data type. This is a special kind of class which is provided in the Java. I'm going to talk about that going forward, but you can just keep in your mind string used to represent group of characters, but it's not primitive data type. And you have other data type called Boolean. Using the Boolean, you can represent any yes or no values. Wherever you want to represent yes or no value, you can use Boolean data type. For example, is it a Monday? The answer is yes. Is it a Sunday? The answer is no. The equivalent values using the Boolean. Boolean is having only two values. True, that's nothing but your yes. False, that's nothing your no. So many times, so these yes or no values required to represent in the program also, that can be using Boolean data type. Fine. So these are the 8 primitive data types. Using these, you can represent all different kind of varieties of data in the computer, especially in terms of Java programming language. There is one important concept we need to understand, that's called variable. What is a variable? Anybody can guess it? What is a variable? So I'll just cover this topic and probably will stop the class and we'll resume the class tomorrow. So what is a variable? A variable is nothing but a placeholder of your data inside the program. Placeholder of data in the program. And the value of this variable keep changes during the execution of the program. Variable is nothing but a placeholder where data stores in the program, and the value of this variable keep changes. That's what variable is called. So varying the value during the execution of the life cycle of the program, so that's why this is called variable. So what is the syntax of this variable? Simple, you need to give the data type, then name of the variable, and semicolon. So why we are giving the data type? Because you should know what value this variable stores, what kind of value this variable stores. That can be identified by using the data type. If I want to represent age, I can use the int age. So means this age is a variable, stores the number value. Float, currency I can say. Gender, char, whether it's a male or female. Boolean, I can say is weekday or weekend. The answer either when you say weekend or weekday, the answer either true or false. So all these are called as the variables here: age, currency, gender, is, weekend, but all these are stores different types of values. How do you know? Based on this data type. And these are called as the declarations. You're just declaring the variable. Then how do you assign or initialize the value in that? So you need to assign or put some value inside the variable, then only that stores the value, right? How do you assign it? It's very simple. Age is equal to 10 years old. So using this, you are assigning the value 10 into this variable of data type integer. So this is a declaration, this is a initialization. If you want, you can do together int age is equal to 10. This is called as a declaration as well as initialization together in one line. You can pretty much do that. Fine.